Hello again there folks, Lone Adventurer here. Thanks very much for stumbling your way upon my channel and joining me for this playthrough. This is part 2 of my playthrough of Into the Dark Dungeon, Silver Mine from Paramyth Games. If you would like to watch part 1, which I would recommend doing before you watch part 2, seems like the logical approach, you can find a link up in the corner of the screen right about now. And there'll be a link down in the description below where you'll also find links to where you can get yourself a copy of the game if you fancy doing that. Before we go any further, can I ask you to consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell if you want to see more adventures just like this one. Now then, our warrior is doing pretty well. I would say modest success, it feels like. We haven't really come across the enemies that we wanted to come across. We really wanted to find some goblins. Was it orcs? Goblins? One of the two. Goblins. So that we can acquire their heads and complete our current quest, which is Headhunter. But we have managed to acquire 10 coins. We've got ourselves a backpack, which is fairly handy. And we have a Warhammer, which gives us +1 health. And yeah, we're doing alright. We've got 1 head. Now the problem is that at this point, we are down to just 1 notch on our torch. And that means that if we were to go into another room, we would be plunged into darkness. Not only that, but a boss would enter the dungeon, make their way to us and try and take us out. And my feeling is that our warrior at the moment is not strong enough to deal with that. So I think it's time for a tactical retreat, personally. The warrior is going to leave the dungeon, go back to town, recuperate, and go back in and hopefully do a little bit better the second time. I'm not sure if that's the right approach, but I think it's time to turn our tail and flee this place. So there are no enemies remaining in the dungeon, so we can just go out. Then we're going to reset by collecting up the dungeon cards, possibly having a new entrance card. Alright, so I've got the 4 entrance cards, including the one we've had already. Alright, so there we go, we'll have that one this time, or when we next go into the dungeon, because we are going to go into town first, obviously. But our next dungeon entrance is now ready to go. And I'm going to shuffle the 2 enemies that we encountered back into the enemy deck and back into town. We're going to visit the innkeeper to recover. Now this is pretty expensive, especially when you've only got a paltry 10 coins. It's going to cost us 5 coins. Now this is the main way that you are able to regain your torch value. So this is something I hadn't realised previously and I didn't mention in the last video because I hadn't looked at the rest section. The rest section? Not the rest section, the visiting the innkeeper section. So we're going to be able to restore our attributes had they have dropped down, and we get to put our torch back up to its original value and our health back up to the original value. Now we've got +1 health for our Warhammer, so I wonder whether I should put that over there to signify us having 9 health at the moment. It's really the only way I can think of doing that without introducing additional dice or something. With that done, I'm not sure that I'm going to do much else. Obviously, I could visit the merchant, but keys, tools, torches, they're all pretty expensive and I just don't have enough money to justify doing that. I've got to be getting this quest sorted and yeah, progressing my character a little bit before I can consider doing that. So having visited the innkeeper and recovered, I think really we just need to head straight in. I wondered, why has the innkeeper got this little sand timer on the card? Oh, okay, that's related to some of the rumours. You need to track time related to some of the rumours. Okay, let's go back into the dungeon and see how we do. So we have got a lootable thing right there. No enemies in this first area. So we can go straight up to that chest. It's not a chest, barrel. Oh, cool. This could be good. Let's roll. We need to roll 1d6 plus the torch attribute. Our torch attribute is 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is 6 or higher. And for that, we gain 1 item and increase our torch attribute if space is available. I'm guessing that means just increase torch attribute by 1, but that's all I can do anyway, so we'll go up to 4 for the torch attribute. That location has been looted and we're getting an item, and our item is a speed potion that will allow us to do some running if we need to. Good for getting away from bosses, I guess, and we can sell it for 6 coins. That's pretty good. Let's keep going. We're going to go down this way. We need a new card. And this is what we've got. A couple of lootable locations. One of which is behind a locked door, unfortunately. Yes, we've got there's a little icon, there's a little token there to signify the door being locked or unlocked. I just realised that. We don't have any method for unlocking a door at the moment, which makes me kind of sad. We do have a trap, so we're going to have to try and overcome that to get round this trap. Going to reduce our torch value by 1 to enter this card. So we can't disarm it because we don't have tools, so we've just got to roll to see what happens. 2. That means we have poison. The trap has poisoned us. It's unfortunate. What does that mean? So we should have a little poison token over here somewhere. There it is. It's got some other stuff on there as well. That threw me a little bit. So the poison token looks like that. Pop that over here. So we lose 1 life per turn for 2 turns. At which point I guess poisoned just leaves us. So I guess next turn we'll lose a point of life, and the turn after that. Bit frustrating, but at least we triggered the trap. We can carry on into this room. And I suppose moving 4 spaces is a turn, so that means we're going to lose a life. What have I done with my life cube? Oh, I moved it over there, didn't I? Right, so we're going to lose a life down to 8. Then we're going to check out this barrel, another barrel. That's good news. So we're going to add on our torch value. 6, fantastic. 7, 8, 9 is 6 or more. So that means we get to increase our torch value. That's awesome. And get an item. Silver coins. 2 silver coins. I'm happy with that. So now we can't get in there. So we're going to move towards this onward passage. Right, so having moved 4 spaces, that is the end of a turn, I believe. So we're going to lose another health as a result of being poisoned. Then we'll carry on into a new area. There are not a lot of... Okay, I could do it that way round. I was going to say there's not a lot of enemies, at least in the cards I am hitting here. So I could put it that way round, and we would be able to get into this larger area with a tomb. We would have to get past that trap, and I don't really fancy another trap. If we do that, then we've just got a barrel. So let's immediately try and open that barrel. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we succeed. Now, to go on there, our torch value would go down by 1. But we've just successfully looted that barrel, which means the torch value goes up by 1 again, back up to 4. And let's find out what item we are getting. Ooh, a rune. A great rune of attack. So we can put that onto our warhammer, and it looks like we can add another rune on as well. And that means our attack is going to go up to +2, which is brilliant news. So let's go back over this way, over to here. We're going to go into a new area. Oh, this is an interesting looking one. So we've got a tomb there. We've got an enemy there. We've got a pouch, a crate, I think, by the looks of things. And we've got a trap. So quite a lot going on in this room. So let's go in. I'm going to go straight up to the enemy, regardless of what it is. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'm not going to quite reach it. We're going to get to there. Let's find out what the enemy is. A goblin guard. Is that what I faced last time, a goblin guard? I can't quite remember. Maybe it was. So we just need a square to mark the life of the goblin guard, and that square to signify which enemy it is. So my turn is over. We go over to the dungeon's turn, and that goblin guard is going to immediately come on up there to face me. Now I suppose we just enter normal combat now. In the rules it says all remaining enemies will move towards the nearest character and attack. Does that mean engaging in combat, or is it an attack that we don't get to defend against? I'm going to say that we're just entering a standard round of combat. The Goblin Guard has a attack bonus of 0, and at the moment I have an attack bonus of 2, so that's good. Good start. So I've rolled a 6, plus 2 is 8, so that's comfortably more than the Goblin Guard. Let's keep it going. Another bit of luck there. 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 for the Goblin Guard, so we have 1 again. And we've both rolled a 5, but I'm adding on 2, so that is enough to defeat the Goblin Guard. That was nice and straightforward. Fabulous. The Goblin Guard has got an item that we can loot. Oh, and it's another rune. I'm not sure if there's a limit to the number of runes you can have. Maybe I'll check. We can sell runes for 6, so that's giving us +1 on our speed. So we'll pop that up. And we're getting ahead, aren't we? So we've got another head towards our Headhunter challenge quest, and that enemy has gone. Brilliant. Let's loot this tomb. I've got a feeling I forgot to reduce my torch value when we came onto this new card. Not good at remembering that. So we're looting the tomb. We're adding on the torch attribute. We're going to try and get 8 or higher. Brilliant. 6, 7, 8, 9. That is fantastic. So that means we get 2 items. Just great. Some really good looting going on here. Oh, we've got a torch and we've got some silver coins. So 2 new silver coins. And we've got some more stuff we can loot in this area. Alright, let's have a look what we've got. No, that's the trap. But I don't need to go past the trap. We can go this way. Boop, 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 boop. And then we can have a look in this chest here. Ah, no we can't. It requires a master key or tools to look in a chest. So we'll leave that. We'll go around here and we'll have a look in this pouch. Sack, rather. And we're just going to roll this and get some coins. 4 gives us 2 coins. It's going nicely. Let's go into a new area of the dungeon. 2 enemies. 2 enemies, 2 locked doors and a fire. All sorts happening. Really would be nice to have a key right now. Oh, and another thing there. Right, so we're going to go into this new area. Well, as we move into the new area, we'll start a new turn. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Move straight up to this first enemy. We need to spend a torch to come in here. Find out what the enemies are. So the enemy we are closest to is a goblin shaman, and then the other enemy is a goblin spearman. That's brilliant, assuming we survive, because that does mean enough heads to complete our quest. Now, something to note here is the enemy that we are closest to is the goblin shaman. The other enemy, the goblin spearman, has a torch value of 1. So that means that when I finish my turn and it becomes the dungeon turn, another enemy will spawn next to the goblin shaman. So I think it's a fairly decent chance here that we are going to be facing 3 enemies in this room. But for now, we've just got the goblin shaman to deal with. They've got +1 on attack, 2 health. Let's hope for a little bit of luck here. Okay, is that good? That's not good. So I've rolled a 5 plus 2 is 7. 6 plus 1 for the Goblin Shaman is 7 as well, so we have clashed and failed to damage each other. Oh no, and this time, actually let me get a dice tray. Yeah, unfortunately the Goblin Shaman has come out on top for this round of combat. It's taking me down to 6 points of health. Let's keep going. That's better. 3, 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have succeeded in that round of combat. Oh, 6 for the enemy, 2 for me. So a total of 4 for me, a total of 7 for the enemy. It's another point of damage, down to 5. Maybe this isn't going to go as well as I hoped. I might have to run away. Ooh. So that's 1 plus 2 for me is 3. 2 plus 1 for the enemy is 3. So that's a clash and nothing happens. There we go. 6 for me. 1 for the enemy. So that's an easy win and the Goblin Shaman is defeated. Goblin Shaman is carrying an item, which we will have now. It's a health potion. That is handy. Notice I've got 4 items now. The backpack allows me to carry up to 6. The Goblin Shaman is out of the picture, and I've just got time to swipe off his head before having to think about dealing with the other enemy. So that is the end of my turn, and it becomes the dungeon's turn, and because of the 1 value on the torch there for the Goblin Spearman, that does mean another enemy is coming on in, and it is a Goblin Warrior. So that will only happen once. So he spawns. I don't think he's going to move on the turn he comes in, but the Goblin Spearman certainly is going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, and is able to move right up to me, forcing me into an immediate combat unless I want to try and flee. I don't really fancy fleeing right now, especially because the Goblin Spearman has +0 on attack, so we should be okay. Fingers crossed we'll be able to take that goblin out, and then we'll have our heads, and then we can leg it if we want, or we can try and defeat the Goblin Warrior as well. Righty-ho, let's get into it. Goblin Spearman, here we go. That's brilliant. 5, 6, 7 to me, and just the 1 for the Goblin Spearman. So that's taking its health down to 1. And then 3 plus 2 for me is 5. 4 plus nothing for it is 4. So that's enough to take the Goblin Spearman out of the picture. And we get another item of loot. A lost map. I'm not sure what that does. We'll check it out in a minute. Goblin Spearman done. And we officially have our 4 heads. Brilliant. Now it is our turn. And we have the option, I guess, of... do we have to defeat this enemy? I was a bit unsure as to whether you could leave a dungeon if there are enemies intact. And actually we're at the very least going to want to try and look in this barrel over here. Because in the leaving the dungeon section, it says if there are no more enemies in the dungeon, you can instantly leave. So that implies to me that you can instantly leave. Does that mean if there are enemies you can try and flee and leave, or you can't leave the dungeon until all the enemies are killed? I think maybe it means you can flee and try and leave, but the enemies will obviously chase you. But maybe the easiest thing to do would be just to try and defeat this enemy. So we'll do that. Go up to that fella. Come on then. Brilliant. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 0, obviously 3. Takes the enemy down to 1 health. Oh, 4 for the enemy, 3 for me. That means I'm taking a point of damage. Down to 4. 4 for me, 1 for the enemy. So that's 6 for me and 1 for the enemy. So that's enough to take the enemy out. Enemy is defeated. We get an item. Very good for items. Another lost map. Alright, and the enemies are defeated. Fantastic. So we don't have any keys, unfortunately. I really wish we did. All of those items we collected, we didn't get a single key. But we'll go over here and we'll have a look in this barrel. So we're going to roll 1d6 and add the torch value. 4, 5, 6. That is 6 or more. So we get one item and we can increase the torch attribute by 1. Which takes our torch attribute back up to where it started, which is pretty good. And the item we've got is another rune. How many runes can you put on a weapon? Is that a question that's answered in the book? You can only have 2 runes attached to a weapon, and you can only have a great rune and a simple rune. And actually we've attached 2 great runes there. So I think what we'll do, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're maxed out on the old items as well. So I guess we're going to have to dump those runes, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But never mind. And then it's time for us to leave. There is a fire, and we can use that fire to do some recovery, but we'll do it anyway. We can go and relax next to the fire. That'll increase our health by 1 and our torch value by 1, which puts us in a pretty good position, really. I'm just thinking, when we leave the dungeon this time, do we need to go and recover? Because yes, our health is somewhat diminished, but our torch value is up at the max. And do we want to spank away 5 coins just to regain 3 health? Possibly we should. I'm not sure I will. So we can now leave this dungeon, reset it, and go back into town. So back in town, we're going to visit the quest master, and we're going to cash in our quest that we have done. Take our 4 goblin heads. The reward for an easy quest is 5 coins, so we'll have those. And I think completing our first quest gives us our first title as well. So we are now, rather than being nothing, we are a vagabond, and we're going to be hoping to move on to become a seeker, which is also achieved by doing an easy quest. And at this point we can visit the tree and we can gain a path. And since we are a vagabond, we can gain one of these paths. Is this supposed to be based on... because it says in the rules, take a path based on your character type. Okay, I see. So our character type is a strength character, signified by a teeny little triangle symbol up in the top right corner here. So our 2 options here are the path of iron and the path of the shield. So the path of iron allows us to make a swift strike, make a rapid attack that deals 1 damage. So I guess that's just an extra damage that you can do in addition to a standard attack that you're doing. Or the path of the shield, stone form, your skin hardens like stone, absorbing the next 2 hits. I wonder whether that one is going to be more handy, because you have to charge these up, you see, and they charge up based upon different things. So the path of the shield charges up as you get damaged, so if you are damaged 3 times, it's fully charged and you can avoid the next 2 hits. And then the path of iron charges up as you successfully attack. So once you've done 4 successful attacks, you can then do a swift strike. I think I'm going to go for the path of the shield. So we're going to pop that over here for now. No, that's where the quest goes, isn't it? Maybe over here. Headhunter quest is done. That path is going back on the pile. So we have got 16 coins. Not enough to buy a book. We could sell some things. We've got 2 lost maps, and I'm not sure what they are, so let me just find out. Oh, okay, so you can use it to reveal an adjacent map without moving onto it. So it doesn't use a torch until you move onto it, and you can see what's in there and make a decision about whether you want to go that way. So that is quite useful, but I've got 2 lost maps, so I think I'm going to sell one to the merchant for 4 coins. And do I want to keep the other things? We've got 4, 5. Because I'm thinking, I mean, the key, the tools are very expensive, but I want a key nonetheless. I think I'm going to spend 8 coins on a key, because there was a few times then when I really wished I had one. So I'm going to spend 8 coins on a key. I'll just grab the key from the discard pile that we had at the start of the game. But now we've got all these items, and if we pick up more, we've got no place to put them. So I think I'm going to sell the speed potion as well. That's going to get me 6 coins, taking me up to a fairly respectable 18 coins. That's nice. And so now we can at least pick something up, and we can use our torch and our health potion whenever we want. In fact, we might as well just use the health potion, yeah? So if we use the health potion now, hang on, wait a minute. A health potion can be sold for 6. Let's do this. We'll sell the health potion for 6, but we're going to immediately go to the innkeeper and recover for 5. So that's going to give me 1 coin, and that recovery will allow me to go back up to max health, and then over to the +1 that the Great Hammer gives us. And I think that's a pretty nice situation, a nice place to be. So we're going to go back into the dungeon, I think. But, oh no, wait a minute, we need a new quest. We need a new quest. Let's get that. So we're looking for a new easy quest in order to progress to Seeker level. And I think Cartographer is the one we're going to go for. So in order to complete this quest, we have to explore 6 halls, presumably including the entrance area. So I think that's more than we have explored in any previous dungeon that we've been in. Now I believe we can leave our coins in our stash, so we don't have to take them into the dungeon and risk them. I don't know whether, I think if your character dies, the next one can inherit the title and stash. Yeah, those things are never lost. So if we die, we can bring a new character in. If our warrior dies, we can bring a new character in, and they will gain what is in the stash. Coins, but also books, if we eventually are able to afford a couple of books to put in our stash as well. I think I'll pause there, folks. Thanks for watching. That was part 2 of Into the Dark Dungeon, Silver Mine. We will come back for another playthrough, so join me for that. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.